The California Association of Realtors, or CAR, just released the latest stats for the California housing market. So that's the topic of today's video. I'm going to give you the latest updates regarding housing inventory, home prices, and home sales across the state. And by the way, I hope you guys get a lot of value out of today's video. And of course, if you do, then please hit the like button. I greatly appreciate that. Also, if you're looking for a real estate agent referral in your neck of the woods, then go to homeandmoney.com/Jason to get connected with a great real estate agent in your neck of the woods. So with that said, let's go ahead and dive right into the video. This was just released today at the time of this video, which is the 17th of May. And this is according to the California Association of Realtors, or CAR. Existing single-family home sales in California actually decreased 1.9% from March and also decreased 8.5% from 1 year ago. And here's a big headline for you guys, because April's home prices reached $884,890. That's a median sold price in April. That's up 4.2% from March and up 8.7% from April 2021. And stick around here in just a little bit, because I'm going to be sharing some additional insights regarding California home prices over the past 12 months. According to the California Association of Realtors today, California home sales retreated in April as rising mortgage rates and higher home prices depressed or decreased housing demand, even as the statewide median home price rose to a new all-time record high for the second straight month. And this is primarily due to sales on the upper range of the market. And CAR President Otto Katrina had this to say: as rates remain on the rise, the sense of urgency to buy is keeping the market highly competitive, especially since housing inventory continues to stay well below pre-pandemic levels. While we will likely see more listings come on the market as we move further into this home buying season, the housing shortage issue will likely persist throughout the rest of the year. We'll have to see about that, because later in this video here, I'm going to be showing how we have a big increase of housing inventory compared to 1 month ago. Meanwhile, California's median sold price reached a new all-time record high in April at $884,000, surpassing the previous record of $849,000 that was set 1 month ago. The year-over-year increase, though, was the smallest since June of 2020. So here's some stats I want to share with you guys. This is actually an upload or a download, whatever you want to call it, from the California Association of Realtors. This is the median sold price for existing single-family houses across the state. Again, existing houses, meaning these are not brand new houses, these are resale houses, and these are for single-family houses only. So have a look at this, because ever since April 2021, compared to April 2022, which is 13 months, we have reached all-time record highs for home prices in 6 out of the last 13 months. So in April 2021, the median sold price reached a new all-time record high of $814,000. Now we're at $884,000, an increase of over $70,000 in just 13 months. On top of this, look at the median sold price in February 2022 compared to now. So basically, in the span of 2 months, the median sold price has increased over $100,000. Here's something very important, though, when we're talking about the median sold price in any state or any marketplace. So when we're talking about home sold prices, those are based on what the housing market was approximately 1 to 1.5 months ago, when the home seller accepted an offer from a home buyer. So the median sold price in April 2022 is really based on mortgage rates from the end of February to the end of March. Again, that's when the home seller accepted an offer from the home buyer. In California, we have approximately 30-day escrows. So in other words, when they accept an offer or when a contract is signed, the sale is finalized approximately 30 days after that time frame. So I'm mentioning this because mortgage rates were in the range of 3.9% to 4.6% as of the end of February to the end of March. This is far less than the mortgage rates we have right now. So on average, the average mortgage rate across the United States is approximately 5.5%. And rates rose to over 5% by mid-April. So in my personal opinion, the housing market stats we see from June and July are going to be very telling, because that's really going to be the time we see the effects of rising mortgage rates of over 5% on average. In any case, going back to this report here from the California Association of Realtors, they say a change in the mix of sales continues to play a role in the statewide record home prices being set here. So here's a key stat here, which is pretty mind-blowing. The share of $1 million home sales increased for the third consecutive month, reaching the highest level on record at 34.7%. What this basically means is that 34.7% of all the home sales in California for April were for $1 million or higher. In stark contrast though, houses that sold below $500,000 in California dipped again in April and hit the lowest level ever recorded. And honestly, the main factor regarding this big decrease in home sold prices less than $500,000 is due to record high home prices. So on average, the median sold price is $884,000. So it makes sense we have a big decrease in the number of home sales below $500,000 across the state. And their vice president and chief economist, Jordan Levine, had this to say: California's housing market is moderating as higher mortgage rates and soaring home prices are starting to have an adverse impact on our housing market. With April pending home sales recording the worst drop in 2 years, the affordability challenges that buyers have been encountering are materializing in recent sales trends, and further declines in housing demand could continue in the second half of the year. So check this out. Again, pending home sales recorded the worst drop in 2 years. However, take a look at housing inventory in California. It says the overall housing supply condition in California improved in April. The number of active listings surged more than 20% year over year and recorded the highest yearly growth in properties for sale since January of 2019. Active listings, which is another word for housing supply, in April climbed to the highest level in 7 months. So have a look at this, because this is pretty mind-blowing, and this is my biggest aha moment when I was reading this report from the California Association of Realtors. Active listings have now increased this high for the first time since January 2019. In other words, the year-over-year increase in active listings, which is another word for housing supply, increased 23.6% compared to 1 year ago. I mean, look at this. The lines here in blue are a decrease in active listings on a year-over-year basis. So basically, since the summer months of 2019 to basically February of 2022, we had a decrease in the number of active listings compared to 1 year ago. However, as you can see here, we have 2 consecutive months where we have a positive change in active listings compared to 1 year ago. And right now, as of April, a 23.6% increase in the number of active listings compared to April 2021, the biggest increase we've seen since January of 2019. However, one would assume if we have a ton of home buying demand right now, one would assume if we have a big increase of active listings, that should translate to more home sales and to more pending home sales. However, we're seeing the opposite though. So have a look at this. Pending home sales had the worst decline in 2 years. So even though the number of active listings, which is another word for housing supply, the total number of houses available for sale, increasing by 23.6% compared to 1 year ago, pending home sales decreased 24.7%. So even though we have approximately 24% more listings available for sale as of the end of April, the number of pending home sales, which is another word for when a home seller accepts an offer from a home buyer, the number of pending home sales decreased by 25%. So in other words, we're seeing a big increase in housing supply, yet we're seeing a decrease in pending home sales. So over the next couple of months, it's going to be very interesting to see, and I'll definitely keep you posted regarding that, because it's going to be a very interesting year. And I'm actually having a lot of fun making these videos for you guys. So hope you guys are getting a lot of value out of these videos. And by the way, this is going to be part 1 of my 2-part video series like I normally do for the California housing market. I make 2 videos per month regarding the California housing market. In today's video, it's going to be a general overview. In my next video, I'm going to be sharing at the county level how each of the counties fared and how each of the major regions in California fared, because of course there's some pretty big differences here. So here's some graphics I want to share with you guys before we wrap up this video here. So existing home sales have decreased by 7.4% year to date. Compared to 1 year ago, the number of existing home sales on a seasonally adjusted annual rate has decreased by 8.5%. Again, home prices reach all-time record highs. That's a gain of 8.7% compared to a year ago. However, the unsold inventory index is still sitting at 1.8 months. What this basically means is that we still have a strong seller's market. In order to have a strong buyer's market, we need this number to be over 6 months. We haven't seen 6 months in over 10 years. but it's encouraging to see that inventory has been increasing. The unsold inventory index increased 12.5% from 1 year ago. Meanwhile, houses are still selling very quickly. The median days on the market is only 8 days right now. That's a gain of 14% compared to a year ago. So let's talk about home sales in California. Home sales in California have been decreasing more or less really since January of 2021, more or less. And this is because of, mainly in 2021, was mainly due to the fact we have a lack of houses for sale. Now, in my personal opinion, I think it's a combo factor of still a lack of houses for sale, historically speaking, but more of an affordability issue because we're seeing more and more people getting priced out of this market as mortgage rates increase. So the general rule of thumb is that for every 1% increase in mortgage rates, that causes a 10% decrease in buyers' purchasing power. And by the way, mortgage rates have increased approximately 2 percentage points thus far this year. Therefore, more and more people are getting priced out of this housing market, especially when the median sold price is $884,000 in California. We definitely pay to live here, that's for sure. And as I mentioned earlier in this video here, part of the reason why we're seeing record high home prices in California, again, 2 consecutive months of increases or all-time record highs, is because we're seeing more luxury home sales in California. So have a look at this. From April 2021 to April 2022, we have an increase of 12% for home sales of over $2 million. In stark contrast, for homes that sold in the range of $1 to $300,000, or let's just say less than $300,000, we have a decrease of 48% compared to 1 year ago. Homes that sold in the range of $300,000 to $399,000 have decreased by 35%. And here's a share by price segment for houses that sold in April. So for houses that sold for over $1 million in 2021, that was at 31%. Now it's 35%. So basically 35% of all home sales in California were for $1 million or more in April 2022, which is pretty astonishing. And you can see that here because 34.7% of all April's home sales were for $1 million or more, which is pretty crazy because when you look at the homes that sold for less than $500,000, it was only 23%. So in other words, more homes sold for over $1 million than for less than $500,000 in April 2022 in California. And as I mentioned, pending home sales had the worst decline in 2 years, a decrease by 24.7% compared to 1 year ago. And also home sales shrunk from last year in all price segments, and this is the first time in 2 years. So for all these price segments here, we have a decrease in pending home sales compared to 1 year ago. Okay, let's talk more about home prices in California. Again, the median sold price reached an all-time record high in California over the past 2 months. And to compare this number for the nation as a whole, the median sold price across the nation is less than $400,000. So in other words, home prices in California are about double that as a nation as a whole. Meanwhile, home prices for condos and townhomes also reached a new all-time record high of $700,000. Look at this, compared to 1 year ago, the median sold price for condos and townhomes in California was only $570,000. So an increase of over $130,000 in 1 single year. Also reaching an all-time high was the price per square foot, crossing over the 400 mark for the second consecutive month. As of April 2022, it was at $433 per square foot. That's an increase by 13.1% compared to 1 year ago. Also, on average, home sellers in California are selling their houses for far more than their asking price. So in April, the sales price to list price ratio was 104.2%. What this basically means is that home sellers on average sold their houses for 4.2% more than their asking price. And looking at this graphic here, this ratio has been over 100% ever since January of 2021, meaning on average, home sellers are selling their houses for more than their asking price ever since January of 2021. Yet another record that was broken was the share of houses that sold above their list price. That reached a new all-time record high, so approximately 72.8% of all houses that sold in April sold for over their asking price. And yet another record that was broken was the average mortgage payment growth rate over the past 1 year. So 1 year ago, the average 30-year fixed rate mortgage was 3.06%. That's pretty mind-blowing. I mean, think 1 year ago, the average was basically 3%. Now it's approximately 5.5%. But the average rate in April was 4.98%. So if this trend continues, we're going to be seeing more record highs being broken because mortgage rates have increased ever since then. So here's the record that was broken. Here's the average home buyer's mortgage payment. This is based on current mortgage rates and also based on current home prices. That has increased 36.8% compared to 1 year ago. And meanwhile, home prices have increased 8.7%. Okay, changing gears slightly, let me give you an update regarding housing inventory across the state here. So as of April 2021, the month supply was at 1.6 months. It has increased slightly to 1.8 months. As you can see here, historically speaking, we're still at very low levels. I mean, back in, 2013 through 2019, we were sitting at approximately, 4 months of inventory. Now it's 1.8 months. But ever since January 2019, it has more or less been decreasing. But ever since January of this year, the month supply has more or less been on an upward trend, which is obviously a positive sign if you want to see this housing market slow down. Yet another positive trend we're seeing right now in California is the share of active listings has been increasing for 3 consecutive months now. And so much so because active listings, as I mentioned earlier in this video here, have increased 23.6%, the highest increase since January 2019. I'm actually blown away by this figure here because I was thinking that a lot of people were going to be sitting on their houses with rates of less than 3%, so why would they sell? However, it appears based on the data that a lot of people are looking to, tap out their equity in their houses because we're at all-time record highs for home prices and it's still a strong seller's market. So it appears that some homeowners are looking to sell their houses right now based on favorable conditions for home sellers. So part of the reason why we're seeing an increase of active listings is the number of new listings is basically on par with last year. As you can see here, over the past 2 months, the number of new listings each and every month has been increasing greatly. So we had 23,624 new listings that hit the market in April 2022 compared to approximately same levels in 2021. In 2020, it basically fell off the map because of COVID lockdowns. However, one important factor we should be paying attention to is that, yes, we had 23,000 new listings, which is obviously a positive sign because back in the winter months of 2021, we had a lack of new listings hitting the market. However, when we look at the number of new listings pre-COVID in 2019 and 2018, we're still well below normal levels. So 23,000 as of April this year compared to 30,000 in 2019 and approximately 30,000 as well in 2018. Here's one leading indicator that I'm following regarding the housing market as a whole in the United States and also in California is the share of reduced price listings. In other words, a home seller reduced their asking price in order to attract a home buyer. So if we have an increasing share of reduced price listings, that could be a sign that home buying demand is decreasing, right? So right now in California, we have an increase in the share of listings reducing their asking prices for 2 consecutive months now. So the share of listings with a reduced price is sitting at 21.6%. What this basically means is that approximately 22% of all the listings out there had a reduction in their asking price, and the median reduction amount was only 5.2%. So obviously a positive sign that the share of listings with price drops has been increasing, but compared to pre-COVID, I mean, we're still below or well below levels we saw in 2019 and 2018. So basically in 2018 through 2019, we had approximately 30 to approximately 40% had reduced prices. But right now, again, we're at 21%. So we have a long ways to go, but at least a step in the right direction. And here's the growth in reduced price listings. So in other words, the increase in reduced price listings compared to 1 year ago. So as you can see here on a year-over-year basis, we had an increase in price drops compared to 1 year ago for 2 consecutive months. So the growth in share of listings with the price drops have increased by 5.7% compared to 1 year ago, which is a big change though, because really ever since 2019, we had a decrease in the amount of price drops ever since 2019, basically through the early parts of this year. For those who are looking for prices to decrease greatly, we obviously need to see a lot more reduced price listings and obviously a lot more housing inventory in order to cool off this housing market further. So comment below with your biggest takeaways from today's video. Also, if you got any value out of today's video whatsoever, then please hit the like button. I greatly appreciate it. Hope you have an awesome day. I look forward to seeing you on the next video.